What's up, guys, and welcome back to the DualSense podcast. This is episode 35. I am one of your co-hosts. I'm joined again today by my other co-host, Travis, who is still experiencing some technical difficulties, but we're going to make it happen. We're going to do our best here. So he's going to sound a little different, but we'll work through it. But anyway, what's good, Travis?
Not much. If you were hoping I sounded British, sorry. I wish that was how I sounded different too.
I'm same. I want to sound like some of these British lads as well. What a great accent. What a great language.
If we were in person, we could just use the aux box, and that would solve everything.
We could, yeah, we could. Hopefully, that'll be the case, and in the near future. You know, speaking of the British lads, it's their language, right? And they absolutely butcher it, like constantly. Like, if I have to listen to you speak English with subtitles, like on Sunderland Till I Die, you're doing something. I'm just saying. But I'm sure that we butcher it too, but at least I can understand most Americans. I don't know. Weird stuff. Well, Travis, for the uninitiated or the noobs here on the podcast, we are a weekly PlayStation news podcast. And we get together every week to bring you all of the week's news, rumors, new game releases, and a little bit more, all in under 90 minutes. We post new episodes every Monday on podcast services around the world. And we also post new episodes on YouTube as well. You can find us at the DualSense podcast on there. And if you want to talk with us, you can also find us on Twitter at the DualSense pod. And without further ado, let's talk about if we've been playing anything new or, revisiting things. So what have you been getting into lately? You haven't been here for a couple weeks, so what's been going on?
When you said new episodes, the audio skipped, and it sounded like you said nude episodes.
Well, we can do some nude episodes as well if you want when we get on when we get together.
That'll be good. I finally beat the first Crash Bandicoot, and moved on to Crash Bandicoot 2. So I'm like halfway through that now. It's much more difficult than the first one, but that's the one I remember playing the most. Is the second one where you have the different warp rooms and you go in, each little thing to get a gem for Neo.
Yeah.
I remember those. The boss battles actually seem to be easier than the first one. I thought the first one had much harder boss battles, but it's interesting. I think we have 8 or 9 diamonds left before the final, so we're most of the way through it. And I think I think I've started playing Hitman since we last spoke. Is that correct?
Yes, I think that's probably true. It released about the time that you started having mic difficulties.
I've only played the first one, first story. I haven't played the second one yet because I know there's multiple ways to play it. It's supposed to be really good, and I want to have like 6 hours to play it because I want to be able to not feel rushed. Because even the first one took me probably 2.5 hours to beat. Not that it's that hard. It's just I kept trying different things, and I let it auto save, but I also had my manual save, so I would go back and try different things, and then reload a different one if I didn't like what I did, or I was kind of experimenting. That's typically how I play that game anyway. So it was awesome.
And you're talking about Hitman 3, right?
Right. Yeah. So typically, I play each mission where I have manual and auto saves, and I go back and forth. Partly because the auto saves, if you blow your cover or die, the auto saves will be like 5 minutes in the past, and I hate that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I played around with it. It's pretty cool. I like I thought the first one was interesting. The scenery is awesome. It looks really good. There's some goofy like glitches, like this won't ruin anything, but a guy asked. I had to give this guy something in my possession. I gave it to him, but it wasn't on the screen, and he was looking at it like manipulating it, but there was nothing in his hands, and he was like commenting on it, and
That's good.
then he hands it back to me, and it appears.
That's great. That's
So
a nice glitch.
I love that. And then
Yeah.
I've since figured out there are some because I don't ever look at, you can like pause it and look through your different things you can complete or whatever different challenges you can see different. It'll give you little clues of how to kill somebody or whatever. I never read through those in the first playthrough. I just want to see what I find, and then I'm out. And then after that, I'll read through it. So after the fact, I read through it, and there are some really really cool ways on the first one for you to for you to finish the mission. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, ways I never even considered, and that's the fun of it though.
Yeah. I've been playing Hitman also. I actually played a little bit this morning, but what I'm doing, as you know, is I've started with Hitman 1. I'm working my way through the trilogy. So for the first few missions of Hitman 1, I did look at the challenges beforehand, but kind of like you, I was like, oh, this kind of ruins it. Like I'm not finding this stuff kind of like organically. So I've quit looking at it the last couple of missions. I just wanted to find what I could find and do it however I, you know, came across things. And this morning I played the Colorado
Hmm.
mission, which is, that kind of like farm training ground for that
Yeah,
militia or whatever.
I
Yeah.
thought that was
So,
the hardest one on Hitman One.
oh my God, I played it for like 2 hours and I kept having to reload at the same spot because there's 4 targets for that one, which is a
Yes.
lot. But yeah. And then I got down to the last two and I was setting all these traps basically, but I poisoned one lady and then she goes and gets sick and you can push her into this thing and then I would do that, but I would get seen every time, no matter what I did, no matter if I tried to distract guards or whatever. So I got frustrated with that and I just waited for her. I eventually figured out that I could just wait for her to turn a corner and I stabbed her in the neck with a screwdriver. So I was like, whatever that. So that works. So then the last lady, I once I took care of the previous one, the last lady was really no problem. I just cleavered her in the head, and
Right.
I could sneak up on her. Then the last part of the mission, you have to get into this room, but you have to have a certain person to get into the room, and I was like, what the hell? So that took me forever this morning. I reloaded it, I don't know, probably 20 times
Hmm.
and before it all worked out. But anyway, so I've got one mission left on the first
There,
one,
there
and
is a
I never.
way. Sorry, there's a way in Colorado you can kill one of the women with
Uh huh.
a crash test.
Oh yeah, I missed that. I didn't know what I was doing, but yeah, that looked that looks like
Yes.
fun.
So
Yeah,
I
I ruined that one.
absolutely destroyed her with like, I don't even remember how she dies, but she goes out there and you basically hit her with a car or something like that. It
Yeah,
was awesome, and everybody freaks out.
yeah, yeah. I changed disguises about 4 times that
Yeah.
mission. I was just like, it's because certain people can see through your disguise and whatever, so I had to change so many times. But anyway, so I have one left on that, and then I'm looking forward to getting the Hitman 2. I'm enjoying it more than I did when I originally played it, and I obviously never played number 2, so I'm excited to do it. And then I have been playing a couple of new games this week, or did play some. So I played God of War from 2018 because they did a PS5 update, 4K 60 update, I think it was, and I wanted to check it out. And gosh, damn, that game is so good. It's just incredible. It's definitely, in my opinion, the second best game on the PlayStation 4. Looks so good. I mean, it looks like a PS5 game after the update. It looks better than some PS5 games.
Right.
I would say. I only played like a couple hours, the first couple of hours, and just wanted to get a feel for it. Gosh, damn, it's so good. So can't recommend that enough if you guys are curious about that update or have never played it. Just give it a go on the 5. And then the last thing that is new that I've been playing is Rainbow Six Siege, and I texted you about this earlier this week. They have done a PS5 update on it as well, I think in December even, and it was on sale for like $9. So I picked it up. I haven't played it. We played it, I think, when it first came out like 5 years ago. I remember that we just got our shit pushed in, and it was okay, but we didn't really have a good time because we just got killed all the time. And sometimes our team would kill us even because we didn't know we weren't very good. So, but I wanted to try it, and it's way better than it was 5 years ago. They've updated it quite a bit. They've changed how the game plays. They've changed the how it controls a little bit, and then they've added haptic feedback and everything on the 5 and made it 4K 60. I enjoy it quite a bit. I'm not great at it, or I'm not good really, but I'm not getting team killed, and I'll occasionally kill somebody or get an objective or whatever. So it's been fun. It's kind of the thing that I do when nobody else is on. It's good. So that's pretty much it for me. And let's get into the news here. There's a lot to cover this week. First off, here, number one, the Entertainment Software Association, or ESA, is moving ahead with plans for a digital E3 event this summer, even without currently having the support of major games publishers. Website Video Games Chronicle reported that pitch documents were sent out to publishers by the ESA and outline a proposal for 3 days of live streamed coverage from June 15th through 17th of this year. The coverage would include keynote sessions, an awards show, a preview night, and streams from publishers, partners, influencers, and media partners. It's unclear whether or not E3 2021 will get off the ground, however, as one games company told VGC that it would continue producing its own separate showcase event rather than paying the six-figure buy-in required to join the E3 schedule. So, a couple things here. What do you think, first of all, about a digital E3, and then what do you think about them charging people, six figures to be a part of the show?
I think digital E3 would be cool. At least we get an E3. Also, that means I get to see Gran Turismo because that'll definitely be there.
Yeah.
I'm not. God, I did not realize they did the six-figure buy-in. I'd never. I thought
Nobody
they
knew
just.
that.
Yeah, I thought they just like chose what they thought would be worth it. Like
Right.
this is our good thing for our brand, yada yada yada. But like, God, six figures, just forget it.
Mm-hmm.
God, I'll
Yeah.
just release it on YouTube.
Right. That's what I was about to say. You can pay E3 whatever $100,000 or $200,000, or you can just have somebody at Sony make a video, like a 20-minute video or 45-minute video, and put it on YouTube. I think I know which one I'll do.
That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, so I'll say that last year, because there was no E3, it was a little bit of a mess. There were just kind of like announcements scattered all throughout the year, and I mean, that was okay, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But there is something cool about kind of having 2 or 3 days where you can expect all of like the really big announcements to happen.
Right.
So there's kind of like an excitement about that part of it. Is like, hey, these are the couple of days that we're going to get like the real, the big bangers of announcements, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to Ubisoft doing a 10-minute thing and EA doing a 10-minute thing, whatever, and YouTube stream or whatever. So I mean, there is that. However, it was kind of cool to have news all throughout the year last year at the same time. So
Right.
I don't know. I'm a little bit torn, but I think E3 is dying though. I mean, nobody wants to pay this money. I mean, Sony has, even before COVID, Sony had backed out of E3.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think other people will continue to back out, and especially since they've seen how easy it is to just do their own thing and still get the same amount of eyes basically on it. Number two, financial results kept pouring in this week as publishers Ubisoft and Take-Two Interactive were the latest to report their numbers. Ubisoft enjoyed their strongest quarter ever and, quote unquote, by far, according to their press statement. The lineup of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Watch Dogs Legion, and Immortals Phoenix Rising led Ubi to sales of $1.21 billion, an increase of 120% year over year. That's crazy. Meanwhile, Take-Two announced that it has shipped a staggering 140 million copies of Grand Theft Auto V. Even more impressive is the fact that 2020 was the game's best-selling year since 2013, when it launched on the PlayStation 3. Take-Two also shared that Red Dead Redemption 2 has shipped 36 million copies, and NBA 2K21 has shipped 8 million copies. And finally, Take-Two revealed that they currently have 93 games in development, 46 of 46 of which are new IPs. So, any thoughts here?
Lord, that's a staggering amount of games. I don't even know what to make of that. The GTA numbers I think are fascinating. I wonder if part of that's
Right.
COVID and people are like, I'm bored, stuck in my house. Give me a sandbox that I can just fool around on all day. I don't need a linear story right now. I think that probably plays into it for sure. When they say shipped copies, does this count digital downloads or is that like physical copies?
That's a good question. I think that I don't know about that. That's a good question. I think shipped means physical because sold usually they'll say sold through means like that's the actual
Mm-hmm.
amount of number that they've sold. So that's a good question. I wonder if the actual number is more than that. I don't know.
Because I would think there's more than 8 million copies of 2K that people
Right.
bought, just based off of what I've seen in the past, and it's hard to imagine that. I mean, by that token, 1624. That's like four times. Red Dead Redemption 2 had four times as many copies sold last year. I really doubt
Right.
that.
I don't know. I first of all, Ubisoft increasing their sales 120% year over year is insane. Especially for, I mean, Valhalla was great. Watch Dogs was okay. Immortals Phoenix Rising is okay. So it's not like they had, other than Valhalla, like really, really good games. I think that just goes to show you like the impact of COVID and everybody is playing games, and it's a great time to be a game developer, that's for sure. And then I think it's really crazy that 2020 was the best year for GTA since it launched in 2013.
Right.
And I saw it to your point about, so many copies of GTA. I saw someone tweet earlier this week after this news came out, and somebody was like, "Oh yeah, I'm one of the people who contributed to that. I bought it 4 times. I bought it
Oh
on
yeah, yeah.
PS3 and PS4, and then now PS5 and on PC. It's like that's just crazy that people have bought it that many
Right.
times on that many consoles.
And they've also done a good job of adding content. I know
Yeah,
this year or last year they added a bunch of random stuff. It seemed like every 2 or 3 months you're getting a new heist or a race thing or new cars or whatever.
yeah, and they're not done yet. They're going to release a PS5, version later this year. So it'll probably, who knows? I think it may get to 200 million copies before it's all said and done. Number 3, developer Insomniac Games announced on Thursday that their upcoming PlayStation 5 exclusive Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart will launch on June 11th. The announcement was accompanied by a 30-second pre-order trailer and the opening of pre-orders on the PlayStation Store. The game will launch with a $69.99 standard edition, as well as a deluxe edition that will set you back $79.99. Pre-orders of both versions will come with the Carbonox armor from 2013's Going Commando. In addition to an early unlock for the Pixelizer weapon, the Digital Deluxe comes with an additional 5 armor sets, a photo mode sticker pack, 20 Raritanium in-game currency, a digital soundtrack, and a digital art book. So, you looking forward to this or not really?
Oh yeah, I think it'll be cool. It's kind of like I don't know. It's like a modern. This is probably a blasphemy, but it's like a 3D sandboxy Crash Bandicoot. It's
Yeah,
not linear. You know what I mean?
sure.
So it makes it a lot of fun. Are you going deluxe? I feel like you're a deluxe guy.
No, not on this one. I didn't even do the deluxe on Returnal, and that's the game I'm like most excited about. So
Yeah. Well, yeah. And listen, that's cool, but like digital soundtracks and art books don't really do a lot for me. Like, I
no,
mean, I do like the art of almost all video games. I think it's really cool, and I like seeing the development process of it. And then what am I gonna do with the soundtrack? Like, I never listened to the one that I have for Ghost of Tsushima. So,
yeah, I think that June is a good time for this game. I'm not convinced that this was the original plan for this. I think once Returnal got delayed, that everything else got delayed. So I
hmm
think Returnal was originally March. I think Ratchet was supposed to be like late April. Deathloop in May, and then I think there was supposed to be something else in June, and we don't know what yet. Maybe Gran Turismo. I'm not sure. And then they've got like another indie game, that Little Devil Inside, in July.
right.
And I still maintain that Horizon is September, but it may be October now that everything else has been delayed. And then I think that originally God of War was supposed to be November, but it may be pushed till February of next year. But June's a good time. It's a good time for a game to come out. That's right around the E3 time anyway. So kind of all eyes are, on gaming news, and it's a good time to push a big first party release. So I'm excited for it. I've never played a Ratchet and Clank game, so this will be my first one. And they've come out and said that you don't have to have played any of the previous ones to, before playing this one, that this is its own kind of standalone story. So that's cool. That's a good decision, I think, on their part. Number 4, Deadline reported on Thursday that British actress Bella Ramsey has been cast as Ellie in HBO's adaptation of The Last of Us. The 17-year-old is most known for her role as Lyanna Mormont in Game of Thrones. Later in the day, Deadline also reported that Pedro Pascal had been cast as Joel in the series. Pascal is famous for his roles on Game of Thrones, The Mandalorian, Narcos, and Wonder Woman. Both castings were later officially confirmed by Naughty Dog co-president Neil Druckmann on Twitter. So, I know that you haven't played The Last excuse me, I know that you have not played The Last of Us, but what do you think about these castings?
Well, Bella Ramsey looks like she's 12, and
Perfect.
her teeth are 100% British. So, uh, this being an American story, she might need to get those fixed. I love Pascal. He's one of my favorite
Yeah.
actors. He's good in everything he does. And he plays his characters. I don't think he means to, but almost all of his characters have like a underlying snarky comedy to them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. To me, even in Narcos, there was times where he just seemed like he just would make me laugh the way he acted.
Right.
Um, so anyway, I think it would be cool for the series, and it's cool that Naughty Dog has a game that's even being made into a series in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome for what video games can be. Um, Hopefully, it does better than when we normally get movies or shows to games that suck. Hopefully, this is actually good.
Right.
But then tie in these guys that people know, like getting people from Game of Thrones and The Mandalorian. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I think these are a couple of big castings for the show, especially Pedro. I never would have really pictured him for the role, but I think he's going to be good at it. He'll bring like a kind of a grit to it.
Hmm.
Having seen him in Narcos, he's kind of that gritty like DEA agent. So I think it lines up. Bella Ramsey, she's kind of like a fan favorite on Game of Thrones, and like you said, she does look like she's 12, which is going. I think that's what they were going for because Ellie, I think, is 14 in the first game, so
Right.
they wanted somebody who looked young but who can look older as the show goes on, I'm sure. So there was also the last thing I'll say about it, there was a rumor there for a little bit that Mahershala Ali was being approached for Joel, which he is in House of Cards, and he was in the last season of True Detective. So he's an awesome actor, but I guess he either turned it down or something happened because I think that was in the works but didn't come together. But Pedro's just as good, so that's exciting. Number 5, several bits of information trickled out this week regarding MLB The Show 21. For starters, we learned that the Show 20 save files will not carry over to the Show 21 as in years past, meaning that franchise save files will not move over to 21, so you can kiss your franchise goodbye. We also learned that your created player for the Road to the Show mode can be developed outside of just that mode, and it can be improved in Diamond Dynasty as well. And finally, a stadium creator feature for the game has also leaked, and an online technical test was announced as well. It will begin on February the 23rd, and players can sign up for that now on their website. So, are you into the show? I don't know if have you played it at all recently in the past couple of years, or does any of this resonate for you?
I don't understand why this game's popular. Every time I played it, everything is canned. Like if you hit the ball at a certain place, the shortstop does the exact same animation. Like everything is like it's like so scripted. It's not even fun to me. Like, does that make sense? Like at
Yeah,
least on FIFA and NBA, like you get these really they feels organic, like the gameplay or the even like the goalie saves and then the rebound or like in 2K.
sure.
Um, you get some wild dunk backs or whatever. I know that those are all coded into the game anyway because that's how games work. But everything about the show feels so canned. It's like, if you throw a sinker on the outside corner and I swing at this point and the ball is thrown at this mile per hour, it doesn't matter if it's uh, you're playing against a Greg Maddux card or you're playing against a dude who they just called up from Double A. I'm going to roll the ball over to the second baseman. He's going to take 2 steps and flop his glove down and throw it sidearm to first base. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
just not. I don't know. It doesn't do it for me. It's just boring.
Yeah. I did play 20. I got it on, I don't remember, maybe I didn't get it on sale. I think I just was in the mood for it, so I got it, and I didn't do Road to the Show. I did Diamond Dynasty, and it was fine. I'm not very good at baseball games to begin with, and baseball is not really my sport either. But it got boring for me. Baseball in general is kind of boring, and it's kind of like what you said. Like there's not enough dynamism in the game for me. Like not enough like moment to moment action or variability, and so I mean the games are good. I mean they always get reviewed good, but like you said, it's kind of, I guess, stiff in a way, and
Yeah.
I just prefer other sports games over it. So the weird thing is that it's going to be on Xbox for the first time this year as well because of the licensing deal with the MLB. So that'll be weird to see that. It's already weird to see that box art with the PlayStation Studios logo
Right.
on it. And then also, I think part of the reason why, I mean, this is obviously the only MLB baseball game that there is. It's not like people have a lot of options, but that's good for PlayStation since they have the license. They'll sell, I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see the sales numbers on this year. I mean, I would say they'll probably sell over 20 million copies of this year with
Right.
it being on Xbox and
Yeah, this year is kind of like a throwout year because this is on Xbox. You're gonna get dudes trying the game who've always wanted to play it.
right,
So you might get like some really weird skewed sales numbers this year. We might not really know if it's dog shit until next year.
right. Number 6, we have several news nuggets here, Travis, and more than several. We have the most I think we've ever had here on the show in terms of news nuggets. So feel free to jump in wherever here. First nugget, Bloomberg's Jason Schreier reported this week that the fate of EA's online co-op shooter Anthem was scheduled to be decided this week by EA top brass, with the project needing to scale up significantly and staff to properly reboot the game. Word came out later that the news would not be made public this week, but most likely next week.
I'll be surprised if this ever sees the light of day.
I agree. I think they're just going to abandon it and move on to something else. It's been too long now. I don't think people care anymore. Cyberpunk 2077 developer CD Projekt Red was the victim of a ransomware attack this week. A hacker group is holding various internal systems and information hostage, including legal, HR, accounting, and game source code. The source code was later sold in the week for the Red Engine, The Witcher 3, and Cyberpunk 2077 for an undisclosed price at auction. Rumors are that it sold for about $7 million. So that's
Okay,
crazy.
right. Okay, so I have some questions about this.
Mm-hmm.
Why? First of all, it doesn't matter if they have the source code if they make a game like Cyberpunk. That would be my thinking if I'm them. Like,
Right.
go ahead, we fucked it up, but obviously, it works well with The Witcher, so
Mm-hmm.
it's not like they're not going to recognize their source code
Right.
when
Right.
it pops up somewhere, so they're going to know who had it. I don't know how that will play out. I mean, is is it legally obtained? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
I don't know. I have a lot of questions about how that plays out.
Yeah, same. My question is like, what do you do with that? It's kind of like to what you're kind of alluring to. They're like, what do you do with that? Like, is somebody gonna like me and you, whatever cyber hacker, me and you gonna like take that and go try to make a game with it? I guess I don't.
Right.
I have so many. I don't know. I'm confused what they're gonna do with
I
that.
feel like if it was that sacred, they would have actually fought. They were basically like, okay,
Right. Yeah.
or maybe they don't have any money anymore to fight it. Maybe that's more what.
Yeah. They said they weren't going to pay the ransom, so they were just like, whatever, y'all can fucking have it. It's weird. Website Push Square reported that Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest digital game festival will be returning this year, but will be more condensed. Thank God. It's kind of what we were talking about earlier. They also reported that the PlayStation 5 will finally launch in China in the second quarter of this year, according to Sony China. That Final Fantasy 14 Online will come natively to PS5 in April with an open beta test on the 13th. It will also include a huge performance boost in the form of improved frame rates, faster load times, and 4K resolution. Push Square reported that the recent 4K 60 update for the Division 2 seems to have removed other graphical features that are present even on the PlayStation 4 Pro. Features like volumetric lighting, atmospheric rendering, and smoke haze are all gone.
Why would you do that?
It sounds like it was a mistake because they acknowledged it later in the week and said, "Hey, we're working on a fix." So it seems like it was an accident.
Yeah, let's kill all the ambiance.
Right, right. Push Square also reported that the Borderlands movie adaptation has added Jamie Lee Curtis and Jack Black to the cast. Kate Blanchett and Kevin Hart have already previously committed to the project.
Right. I'm having a hard time wrapping my brain around the cast. It's so weird.
It is. It's very weird. It's like a conglomeration of people that you would never expect. Like Jack Black and Kevin Hart, okay, but like Jamie Lee Curtis and Kate Blanchett, I don't know.
Yeah, like Jamie Lee Curtis is gonna be like, she take it way too seriously. I feel like it's not fucking Michael Myers. Like,
Yeah,
you don't need to play. Like, I feel like she's just gonna have that character and bring it over.
yeah. And then also, does anybody need a Borderlands movie? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Is Kate Blanchett still hot?
I don't remember. I don't remember which Kate she is. I get all the Kates confused, like Kate Blanchett, Kate Winslow. Like I confuse them all the time.
Well, Kate Winslet had her tits out in Titanic.
Oh, okay. I like her a lot better than Kate Blanchett, I think.
Yeah, 'cause you saw her tits.
Oh yeah. Push Square also reported that 2020's Trials of Mana has surpassed 1 million copies sold. That Stardew Valley's massive 1.5 update is now available and features the addition of local co-op, new locations, new quests, and more. That acclaimed adventure game Spiritfarer will receive 3 big free content updates this year on PlayStation 4. That Assassin's Creed Valhalla appears poised to receive a large update next week, which will also add the new River Raid activity. Ubisoft also announced this week that they plan to support Valhalla post-launch with content for longer than they did with Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that is. I wonder if that's because of COVID or just because it's the best-selling Assassin's Creed,
Right.
ever, I guess. I think is what.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe both. But then
Yeah.
Odyssey also sells so well still.
Right.
I guess they finally feel like they have something comparable to it.
Right. And I don't know what that. I mean, I guess they're just going to do more expansion, like story content or whatever. I guess is what they're going to do. I'm not sure. Push Square also reported that realistic military shooter 6 Days in Fallujah has been resurrected by developer Highwire Games and is slated for release at the end of this year. That's a really interesting game. I don't know if you know anything about that or not, but it's being directed by the former lead designer on Destiny and Halo. So that's
Okay.
pretty interesting to me.
Is it live action? What do you mean by realistic? Like, you get shot once and you're dead?
I think so. Yeah, it's like that. And then I think that they interviewed a bunch of soldiers for it, and they like have basically taken their stories of their like operations and turned them into missions in the game. So it's like real. It's
Okay.
like real things that happened.
So we get to do the one where Ford died and Hillary cried.
That's right. Oh man, Osama bin Laden. All right, let's see here. Push Square also reported that PlayStation 5 exclusive Godfall has received its new Primal update, which adds new in-game content, loot, and much more, it seems. That free-to-play RPG Genshin Impact has been rated for PS5 in Taiwan, so it'll be coming natively to the 5 here very soon. That Pirate RPG King of Seas has been delayed to May. That Doodle Devil 3Volution, the next game in the Doodle God series, will come to PS4 and PS5 on March 11th. I know Travis is looking forward to that one.
Uh-huh.
That PlayStation 4 exclusive Wild from publisher Ubisoft is apparently still in development, as developer Wild Sheep Studio has begun hiring for the project. So I don't know if you remember this one, Travis, but this game was announced at like E3 in like 2014, and it was from the dude Michael Ansel, who did like the Beyond Good and Evil game, who's like he's since been fired from Ubisoft for like sexual harassment or whatever.
Mhm.
So I guess we haven't heard anything about this game since 2014, I think. So I guess it's not dead 7 years later. I guess it's still in the works, which is outrageous. So we'll
Is it
see.
still a PS4 exclusive?
I guess so. Who knows? Push Square also reported that Turok and Turok 2 Seeds of Evil remasters are reportedly releasing on PS4 this month.
I remember when I was a kid, my mom went to the store. I was like, "Hey, can you rent a game for me from the Blockbuster?" She brought back Turok, and I couldn't figure out how to play the game because I was like 7, and none of it made any sense.
Right.
Like it was too much for me. Like I remember not understanding how to get weapons, and then they got ate by dinosaurs. What the hell is going on? And I couldn't back then you had to go buy like a 15-page manual to understand how to play the damn thing.
Correct.
God, it
So
was so hard.
I think I played the first Turok as well and had the same experience. When I kept getting eaten by dinosaurs, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. But so wait a second here. So you just trusted your mom to just rent you whatever game at Blockbuster? You just said, "Hey mom,
Yeah, I just
rent me
told her
a
to go
game."
for it. Yeah, she's like, "What do you want?" I was like, "I don't know." So she brought back this thing,
Wow.
and it was impossible. I guess she picked like the hardest game in the Blockbuster.
You're a fucking madman trusting mom
I
to
was
just
just
come back
going
with
for it.
whatever game. Good God.
Yeah, it was terrible.
She
It
could
was so hard.
Yeah, she could have came back with anything. She could have came back with like My Little Pony or who the hell knows? Like I don't know.
Yeah, well, every time I went, I would get like something you'd expect, like whatever, a racing game or
Yeah.
something like that. So if I sent her out on a commando mission to get me a game, you never knew what you were gonna get. You trust something new.
That's funny. The Blockbuster and the Hollywood Video.
Mm,
Those were the days.
that was the place. That was the
Yeah,
place to be.
it was. People don't understand that how things used to be. So
You go in there and like, man, I really want to get Game Breaker '98, and then it's been out for 2 weeks. Who the fuck keeps renting Game Breaker '98?
right. Oh man, I remember that. You'd have to talk to the jabroni at wherever Blockbuster. Like, well,
Yeah.
when's it supposed to come back? Well, next Tuesday. Okay, I'm coming
All right.
back next Tuesday. And the dude would call and be like, hey, I'm gonna keep it for 5 more days. Like whatever, just charge my account. Then,
Yeah.
but
Like fuck that guy.
yeah, you wouldn't know that, but you'd still have to go in there on Tuesday to check and see
Right in
if
the
it.
ass.
Yeah, that's fuckers. What a time. Now we can just download whatever we want. It's crazy. All right. Push Square also reported that Roadside Assistance Simulator will release on. Why even bother with a game like this? Will release on PS4 and PS5 sometime in 2023.
That is ghost funded by AAA.
My God, it is. AAA presents Roadside Assistance Simulator. That's good.
Yeah. To make sure you don't get the call. Don't leave for an hour. Just let them sit out there. They shouldn't have gotten in a crash in the first place.
They also reported that cell shaded wrestling game Action Arcade Wrestling will come to PS4 at some point in 2021. That Assetto Corsa Competizione will release on PlayStation 5 natively sometime in 2021. That a new Hitman 3 update on PlayStation 5 has added game help functionality for every mission in the entire trilogy,
Nice.
which is cool. Yeah. I never think to use that still to this day.
Right.
And Push Square also reported that the trophy list for the PlayStation 5 version of Marvel's Avengers has appeared on PSN profiles, meaning that a release is imminent, extremely imminent. In fact, I would say next week even, because they're doing a February 16th War Table like live stream thing that they do, to announce content. So I'm guessing they're going to like stealth release that next week. And finally, Push Square reported that the Division 2 developer Massive Entertainment announced on Friday that they are working on additional content for the game planned for release later this year. Title Update 12 was originally planned to be the last major content update for the game, but that's no longer the case. That's cool. Website PlayStation Lifestyle reported that Battlefield producer Jacob Ajmal has left developer DICE after 10 years working on the franchise. That notorious Battlefield leaker Tom Henderson is at it again. We've been talking about him, or at least I have. I don't remember if you've been here. Tom stated that the game will include a battle pass system with 8 to 10 weeks of content across a season. He also says that the game will include some type of free-to-play mode akin to Warzone. So I feel like we need to talk about this here. What do you think about some of this stuff?
I'm not gonna pay for Battle Pass, but if you want to give me rewards based off of my ranking for free, I think that's a worthwhile endeavor.
Yeah.
I just listen. I mean, if you want to hide microtransactions in your Battle Pass, I know that works for a lot of companies, so I can't be upset with them. Listen, free to play modes like Warzone, they're just so boring to me. I hate having to wait. I
Yeah,
feel like that's all I do is wait, and you can go
right,
crazy, just go out and try to kill everybody, but that's not really any fun to me either. Because then it's like
right.
I don't even know how to explain that. You got guys that can snipe you from 6,000 yards, so you can't even. It's almost like you're just hiding the entire game, like there's some unseen monster. I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me, regardless of if it's Warzone or PUBG or whatever.
Yeah. So here's my problem with this little news here is that a battle pass is fine. Like I've bought battle passes for games. Um, it's cool. It's whatever. But here's my problem with a game like Battlefield having that. Here's or my concern, I guess. If they start having these purple and pink and gold guns and Battlefield and like these whatever these outrageous looking outfits in Battlefield, that's gonna be a big turnoff. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
this is not Call of Duty. Like they can get away with that on Call of Duty having that shit because they've kind of set that precedent now. But like Battlefield, that's not what it is. Like they're not the flashy game. Like they're going for more of the realistic kind of military sim. They're leaning that direction. Does that make sense? So
Yeah, yeah,
I'll have a problem if they start doing this like flashy bullshit like Red Dead does, where they have like pink cowboy hats and all this stupid shit. Like I don't want that at all in the game. Just don't bother with
yeah.
that. Now, if
I
it's
think
just
that
like
sounds gay
weapons,
anyway.
yeah, if it's just like weapons, like if you want whatever, if you want the grenade launcher, you got to get the battle pass. Like, okay, that's fine. That's one thing, but I guess we'll see. It may not even be true. It's just a rumor, but Tom Henderson is usually on point with Battlefield stuff. PlayStation Lifestyle also reported that Sony filed a patent in 2019 for a game controller with both Bluetooth and Wi Fi transceivers, which would prioritize whichever signal was fastest in order to reduce
Hmm.
latency. So two thoughts on this real quick. Either this is something for game streaming, to be able to like, put your phone with it and play your PlayStation games on the go, which is very likely, or this is something to do with like a handheld type of console is my theory.
Hmm.
And
Right.
I think it's more possible that it has something to do with game streaming, but I selfishly am hoping that it's like another, PlayStation Vita or another PlayStation handheld. Because it's just silly for everybody to just say, "Oh, okay, Nintendo, you can have the entire handheld, console market, and you can just destroy us all." Like just Switch just destroys. So it's just so weird that nobody wants to compete with them
Hmm.
on that shit. But anyway, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, yeah. It's like the other day, my controller wouldn't sync my PlayStation. I had to like
Oh yeah,
restart everything to get it to finally work. And one of the issues you can have with um, your controller is it basically allows Bluetooth interference. So like if you're
yeah,
listening with Bluetooth speakers or headphones, you get a bunch. It can basically interfere it. So having a transceiver that does both is cool because it can solve that issue. But it already doesn't. Sometimes it decides not to work anyway on the controller we already have. So there's definitely some work to do there, whatever that means. But whatever, low latency for the win. Let's get low latency across the board.
right. I agree. We'll see what that ends up becoming. PlayStation Lifestyle reported that developer Striking Distance Studios has partnered with developer Skybound Entertainment to co-develop the Callisto Protocol, the new game from Dead Space creator Glenn Schofield. That Borderlands 3 Director's Cut DLC will be releasing on PS4 and PS5 on March 18th. That Ubisoft stated on a recent earnings call that they will move away from their reliance on AAA titles and increase their number of free to play games. The company also said that it has yet to decide on whether or not to increase standard game prices to $70 for 2021 releases. It's interesting. Both are interesting. And finally, PlayStation Lifestyle reported that the Outer Worlds second DLC expansion, Murder on Eridanos, will release before April. Website PlayStation Universe reported that Shadow Warrior developer Flying Wild Hog, which I cannot say without laughing ever, has two more projects in development, in addition to the already announced Shadow Warrior 3 and Evil West. One of the projects is an action RPG being co developed with Jagex, Jagoff, who is most known for RuneScape. whatever that is. PlayStation Universe reported that Blood Bowl 3 has been delayed to August. That Playtonic, the developer of the acclaimed Ukulele and the Impossible Lair, shared on Twitter that they will reveal their next game soon. That Respawn Entertainment is working on bringing 120 frames per second to Apex Legends on PS5. That notable Souls game modder Lance McDonald has released his Bloodborne 60 frames per second patch, but will require users to mod their console to take advantage.
Got it.
Don't think I'm going to be.
Warranty.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be taking a chance on that for Bloodborne. No thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Lance.
And PlayStation Universe reported that YouTube channel HD TV Test has tested the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X's 4K Blu-ray drives, and that the PS5 is the clear winner. One major advantage is a higher chroma bandwidth on the PlayStation 5, meaning that the PS5 renders color gradations smoother than Xbox. It's interesting. Website Gematsu reported that Moving Out DLC Movers in Paradise will launch on February 25th. That developer Deck 13 Interactive, the studio behind The Surge and Lords of the Fallen, will open a second studio in Montreal, Canada. Their first project will be supporting the development of Deck 13's new game that is scheduled to release in 2022. Website Gematsu reported that first-person recursive puzzle game Maquette will launch on PS4 and PS5 on March 2nd. That psychological horror adventure game Sanity of Morris will launch on PS4 on March 23rd. That co-op puzzle adventure game We Were Here is now available on PS4 ahead of the sequels, which will release on February 23rd. We Were Here is a free game, by the way.
Wouldn't it need to be ahead of the sequels in the first place?
You would think so.
That's how that works.
You would think so. Gematsu reported that indie publisher developer Tiny Build has acquired game studios We're 5 Games, Hungry Couch, and Moon Moose.
I love Hungry Couch.
Yeah. They also reported that Chinese megacorp Tencent has acquired a minority stake in DayZ, and Vigor developer Bohemia Interactive, it's fucking communists buying up everything.
Mm-hmm.
That Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, will release on PS5 on March 12th. Travis, owners of the PS4 version will receive a free upgrade, and save data can be carried over. So you and the wife gonna have to tackle that one after you finish the trilogy.
I don't know. It really pisses me off sometimes. Like, it legitimately, like, fuck this game. Like, why is this so hard? Like, children can't play this.
It's a good thing you got the digital version of the console, so you can't frisbee any more discs across your house.
It's not as satisfying, though. Just frisbee that motherfucker.
I'm going to guess you can't break the DualSense in half either, and that's a challenge, by the way.
I haven't tried.
I bet you can't.
To try.
Oh, I bet you
I
can't.
yelled at her. She tossed me the controller the other day because she got mad, and I was like, easy.
That's a no-no. Gematsu also reported that street skateboarding game Skate City will launch on PS4 sometime in the near future. That multiplayer shooter Solaris Off-World Combat will release on PlayStation VR this spring. That 3D platformer Pumpkin Jack will launch on PS4 on February 24th. That space station simulation game Base 1 will release on PS4 and PS5 in the second quarter of this year. That visual novel game Werewolf the Apocalypse, Heart of the Forest, will release on PS4 on February 24th. That story-driven RPG Ved will come to PS4 and PS5 in 2022. That Tales from the Borderlands from Telltale Games will return to digital storefronts on February 17th. That multiplayer 2D tank battle puzzle game Connect Tank, that's funny, that's clever, will release on PS4 this fall. That Chivalry 2 will launch on June 8th for PS4 and PS5, and that a closed beta test will take place from March 26th through March 29th. This was that game, Travis, that multiplayer game that you and I thought was kind of interesting, where you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, where you like slicing dudes' heads off and arms.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I may have to check out that beta. Gematsu also reported that real-time strategy game Death Crown has been delayed to March. That dark fantasy turn-based RPG Disciples Liberation will launch on PS4 and PS5 in the fourth quarter of this year. That turn-based RPG King's Bounty 2 has been delayed from March to August 24th. That city building game Building Set Feelings 2 will launch on PS4 in March. That Yonder
propaganda.
yeah. Gamatsu reported that Yonder, the Cloudcatcher Chronicles Enhanced Edition, will come to PS5 in May, featuring 4K at 60 frames per second. And finally, Gamatsu reported that developer Rabbit and Bear Studios have partnered with 505 Games to publish its Suikoden spiritual successor, Iodine Chronicle 100 Heroes. And that is all for the news this week. Quite a bit of news there. And I will now kick it over to Travis for this week's new game releases. Take it away.
On the 9th, we had A Perfect Game for You, My Universe, Pet Clinic, Cats and Dogs. Following that, we had Tanks versus Tanks on the PS4. And my issue with these types of games is I feel like a tank there's so much potential to have a really cool tank battle game,
There
and
is.
it seems like we never have a good one. Some people like World of Tanks a lot, but I think that's because they like the RPG aspect of it, not necessarily the tank battle aspect. But anyway, moving on, we have the King of Fighters 2002. That would be 2002 in English. Unlimited match. Ultra Goodness 2 on PS5 and 4, and We Were Here, which we mentioned earlier, on PS4. On the 10th, we have hashtag Sinyukata Sinyukatak.
Uh-huh.
Sinyukatak.
Uh-huh.
Fucking Google it. Following that, we have Larry Wilmont's Warehouse.
What is this game? Tell me you looked this up. I want to know what this is.
Hold on, I don't really remember it. Let me look it up again.
I want to know. That's the only one that sounds interesting so far is Wilmot's Warehouse.
I typed in Larry Wilmont's when I typed it. It's not. It's a fucking mobile game. That's what it was. That's why I don't remember. It was a big game on Steam. It's a puzzler. So
never mind.
Yeah, I don't know. It has like some Tetrisy feel to it with the shapes and stuff. It's really not a lot of fun. On the 11th, we have another Dungeon Village game dev story, which is self-serving. Hot Springs story, which is set in Arkansas. Following that, we have Little Nightmares 2. Since a cyberpunk ghost story, which, believe it or not, is the story of how cyberpunk disappeared from the market. And following that, we have Shoot One Up DX on PS4.
Yeah, I don't advise shooting one up though, guys.
I don't either. I think that's yeah.
Yeah. Cyberpunk, by the way, we haven't talked about this, but Cyberpunk is still not back on the PlayStation Store, which is it's so fucking crazy.
I mean, somebody just stole their code or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, maybe they'll get it back on the PlayStation Store before CD Projekt Red does.
They'll just put the code up and you can do whatever you want. Those are like dreams.
Right. And that's all for the new game releases this week. And let's begin to wrap it up here, Travis. Let's talk about what we've got going on in the week ahead. Are you what are you going to be playing? What's going on?
Well, if we get our 3 feet of snow like we're supposed to, and I don't have to go to work one day, I guess that'll be a great time to do the Hitman level 2 on Hitman 3.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I really feel like I'm gonna have to play that level twice. Like I have to play it once through a certain way and then once through another way that I know exists.
Right.
I've also been staying away from spoilers, so I don't really know how the rest of the game plays out. There's a couple of videos I want to watch because I know they'll be really funny, but I just have them in my saved on YouTube so I can watch them once I beat the game.
Yeah, you don't want to ruin it.
And then other than that, I've been grinding FIFA.
Yes, you have.
I don't know. It just sucks me in. I'm like addicted to scouting players and finding youth players. I really enjoy it. Man, I don't know. I like selling players. I like buying them. It's just fun. It's everything I liked about NCAA football. Basically, that's what it is. It fills that niche I like so much from recruiting. Anyway, I'm on like year 3, I think. This is the year if I win, I get to go to the Premier League. So after I get to the Premier League and play 1 year in the Premier League, I don't know if I'll start all over or leave or what. We'll see how that plays out.
Yeah. I think what my plan is with that is if once I win the Premier League, I think I'm going to start over with another team, is what I kind of think right now. So I've got my work cut out for me. I got to get caught up with you. So I plan to play more FIFA this week as well in my manager's career.
I forgot to tell you, my youth squad player finally maxed out. So when your players reach their full potential, when your development guy comes to you and says so and so has reached whatever.
Oh yeah,
they'll tell you basically. So
right.
I signed this right mid out of France in year 1.
Okay.
At the end of year 1, the very end of year one,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like a 66, which was
Wow.
one of the best players I've ever signed. I've signed two guys who are at 66, just straight up out of the squad. Usually they're like in the 50s. Anyway, started him immediately, and then I spent a whole first year. I didn't know how to develop people, so all I did was train his speed, so he got really fast. I completely fucked it up. Anyway, he's a 77, and last night it popped up and told me he reached his potential. So when I signed him, his potential was a 77 to a 94. So he reached the bottom of his potential. So I wonder if it's just telling me he reached the bottom of his potential or he just maxed out. But
Interesting. Yeah.
what it did was it told me he had reached that number, and then I went to the development, and it had that little dial beside it that when they have that dial, you have to put them on balance, so they don't regress.
Right. Yeah.
And so I clicked it, and I went to go put it on balance, and every single thing that you could train them on was all of a sudden it was like 150 weeks,
Oh, wow.
and it had been like 6, 7 weeks. So I think that means he's capped, which sucks that he's at the bottom of his potential. But if that's the case, now I can sell him.
Right.
I know what he's worth now. So anyway,
Right. I still have a couple of guys, that are in like the high 90s that are in the academy. So I'm hoping that like I've talked with you, I want so bad to have a guy that develops into the 90s. Like that would just
yes.
that'd be so awesome. Like that's a goal. It's probably a trophy too. Need to look that up. And then I'll also, play some more Hitman. Hopefully, I like streaming that on the weekends. I actually was streaming this morning and then lost connection and got booted off the live stream, and then also got booted off of the like network for Hitman, whatever. So that was annoying,
Perfect.
but I'll keep streaming that whenever I do play, just to kind of have a record of it. And it's a very streamable game. And then I also want to play more Rainbow Six Siege. I'm enjoying that way more than I thought I would. I just kind of did it as a throwaway, but it's
Hmm.
good. It's satisfying when you actually like kill somebody and make a good play and do things right. So I think that's probably it for me. Oh, Valhalla. So I told you before that I was like 30 hours into the game, and it said that I was only 20% through the main story, but it's since updated and it now says I'm 40% through the main story. So that makes me feel a little bit better about it. But I think what I'm going to do with Valhalla is I'm going to like kind of like mainline the like story path,
Hmm.
because I do want to beat the game and it is a good game, but I don't want to put 150 hours into it. So I'm gonna
I
try.
don't blame you.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to just get through like the main story, and then like I'll have it if I want to go back and dabble in some of the side stuff or whatever that they add. So that's kind of my plan now. But that's pretty much it. So with that, let's get out of here. If you guys enjoyed the show, and we hope that you did, don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. Leave us a review or comment if you're watching on YouTube, and maybe share us with a friend. We would much appreciate that. Don't forget, if you want to hit us up and talk with us, you can find us on Twitter at the DualSense Pod. And if you want to check out some of our game streams like Hitman, like I just mentioned, or some clips, you can do that on YouTube at the DualSense Podcast. And we will talk to you guys next week. Take care. We'll see you then.